Welcome to the Unleash podcast, Unleash Your Potential, Make Your Impact. On the show, we talk with leaders in their industry on leadership challenges and strategies, sometimes in the hiring process. And we also learn from professionals who are making their impact, always with the goal of inspiring others. My name is Amy Miller, and joining us on the show today is founder of RepPath, Joe Licata. Welcome, Joe.
Thank you, Amy. Pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. I'm excited to have you here as well. I want to first say congratulations on a stellar background. You've got over 20 years experience, successful experience in medical sales, which is not an easy feat. And you've got experience in device, pharma, lab diagnostics, capital equipment, also leading teams. And you've worked for some well-known companies in the industry. So just to name a few, Boston Scientific, Baxter, Stereotaxis. What first drew you to medical sales, and what are some of the traits or qualities that you feel have helped you to be successful over the years?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, this goes back to my, going into college. I always wanted to be a physician. So when I graduated, I went to Villanova. When I graduated from Villanova, actually during my years at Villanova, I would volunteer my summers at St. James Hospital. So I was observing cases, all day in the operating room. Back then, it was a little bit easier access where you were able to spend time with orthopedic surgeons, general surgeons, oral surgeons. So I saw all these different specialties, and I never really knew about medical device reps. So I would see the device reps coming into the cases, and I was kind of blown away that you had these young 23, 25-year-old guys telling these gray-haired gentlemen in their 60s, like what to do during a case. And it blew my mind. So I didn't realize that there was that avenue out there. So when I decided to pivot from, going to med school, and I wanted to get in the sales route, I thought this would be awesome because I saw how respected they were in the cases with the physicians. So that's what really got me excited to get into the industry. And when I applied, I first got my first opportunity at Organon, which it wasn't device, but at least it was a step in the door in the pharmaceutical world. And then from there, that's when I went to Boston Scientific and got into the medical device world, spinal cord stimulation.
Yeah, that's kind of how it happens. What I found, because I did medical sales previously as well, is that very coveted industry. It's of course highly lucrative, and to your point, you have the opportunity to connect with and speak with high-level clinicians, high-level folks such as clinicians day to day. So lucrative, challenging, ever-changing, and it can be super challenging to get into. But then, kind of once you're in, then you're in, and your career can grow and expand from there. Are there other reasons that you think the industry is super coveted, and why do you find that it can be very challenging to break in?
Well, I think that it's a catch-22 that these companies create for a lot of candidates, where they won't hire you unless you have experience. But then again, how do you get experience if no one's going to give you the opportunity? Right. So that's the biggest challenge. And I see the candidates that have, that have the most success. They first find out if they are good at sales or if they want sales as a career. Yeah. It sounds great from the outsider's point of view that medical device reps, they're in cases, they're working with doctors, they deal with patients, they make good money, they get a company car. But then when you don't even know if you really like the sales process. So the ones that do well get sales experience out of college right away, working for, companies like Cintas or Paychex or ADP, or in the sales process. And those a lot of companies love those companies because they know once they hire individuals from those companies, they know how to sell. Right. They can then just teach them about their products, but at least they know the sales process. So those are the ones that seem to have the most success.
Okay. So medical sales reps that have the most success have the sales experience first rather than the clinical or science background.
Yeah. The clinical or science background is always great. It helps. But at the end of the day, I was a bio major. There's nothing that I remembered that actually helped me.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It was good on my resume. It looked great. Yeah. But when you're learning such a niche specialty. Like I started out in women's health, selling birth control.
Okay.
There was certain terminology and anatomy that you learn when you're in school, but at the end of the day, you're learning a whole new product. You're learning about their medications, so it's like you're being retaught again.
Mm-hmm.
So while it's helpful, it's at the end of the day that I think the sales experience it trumps that.
Yeah. Okay. And I find that as well in my recruiting work that a lot of companies, if it's an entry level sales position looking to break in, they typically want to know that you can sell, that you've proven yourself in sales. But it sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong, you maybe took a different route. Did you have sales experience or direct out of college? Were you able to break into the industry?
I spent a year and a half for a company called Carico. Carico was they sold air purifiers and water filtration systems.
Oh, okay. So you did have a year plus
Yeah,
B2B sales
yeah,
experience.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we had a product. I don't know if you remember the Ionic Breeze that used to be sold by Sharper. Not yeah, Sharper.
It
The
sounds familiar, but I don't
Yeah,
remember what
Sharper
it is.
Image. Yeah,
Okay.
it was like a standalone little little machine that sends ions into the air that cleans the air. That was like our big competitor. So we sold
Okay.
this instrument. It looked like a speaker, but it was for air. So every business needs air, quality air. So I would go to restaurants, people's homes. I would go to hotels, uh, doctor's offices, anything that it would help me get that experience. Because
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, it was true B2B experience where you're going into an unknown area and you're trying to sell someone something. So it would mirror a lot that a pharmaceutical or medical device rep would have to do approaching
Mm-hmm.
offices. So
Right.
that's why I took the role.
Okay. And you mentioned that it's important to learn if you are good at sales and if you like sales and the sales process before you try to break into medical sales. Are there certain key traits or attributes or skill sets, maybe intangibles that solid or successful sales reps tend to have that you
Abs-
see?
Absolutely. I mean, first you have to have thick skin. I mean, you
Yep.
got to get used to getting rejected, day after day, call after call, and just have that resilience to just not give up and
Hmm.
just keep going. So you need persistence, you need resilience, and more importantly, you need to be organized and have a game plan and strategy.
Hmm.
Because without that, when I first started, I was running all over the place. You start to get frustrated. You're tired of getting told no,
Yeah.
and you realize that it's just a process, and you gotta just be patient and have that ability to keep going forward every day.
Hmm. Did you have any specific challenges that you recall trying to break into the industry or along your career path, trying to further your path in medical sales?
Well, I struggled, over a year. I mean, I started applying. I loved the job at Carico, but I knew that was just a stepping stone. So
Right.
I started applying like 6 months into starting to work there, and it took me over a year, and it was very
Okay.
frustrating because I went on a lot of interviews. I mean, thinking back some of the things that I said during interviews and how I butchered a lot of them just from the experience, which was my own fault.
Yeah,
But
one of my experiences like that is coming to mind too. And one of the interviews, I said something, and as it was coming out of my mouth, I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And then the interviewer said, "Do you realize what you just said?" I still got that job, but anyhow, go ahead.
I named one of the interviews. I named a product that the company didn't even sell because I took a shot and I guessed. And I remember the hiring manager
Oh,
goes,
how
"Did you just
funny!
take a shot and guess?" And I go, "I did. I did." I'm like, I screwed up, and I just laughed it off because I knew I wasn't getting that job.
I was
But
going to say, did you get that job?
no, no.
Yeah, but
The
you kept going. So yeah, resilience and knowing what you want, resilience. And do you think that? Well, it sounds like yes, but since we're kind of on the subject there, I always like to ask about mindset because you're positive, you're successful, and with the folks that you're mentoring and coaching, do you find that mindset plays a role when working to make a career shift?
Absolutely. I mean, you with this industry too, you have to be able to you have to be adaptable. I mean, things change every day. You could
Yeah.
be in a territory that they move you to it. You could be in New York, they move you to New Jersey, or you have a few products that now they products drop because of patents or there's a change in focus with the company. So now they introduce new products. So now you have all new call points. Your manager gets moved into a different division, and they bring you a new district manager or regional manager. So if you're not willing to change and accept that, it's one thing to start a whole new industry, but in this industry, it's very volatile. So you have to have that ability to accept change every day. And I think the ones that have the most success, they're the ones that just let it brush right off of them, and they just keep going.
Right. Yeah. Yep. I think that is definitely true and important to focus just on what you can control. If it's one of those changes that you don't have any control over, just accept it and find the positive and keep going. What made you decide to found RepPath, and what are some of the key challenges that your clients come to you? So your clients, just real quick, they're folks looking to break into medical sales, but also you work with clients that are looking to further their path. They're already in medical sales, so maybe they're looking to advance. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. So both. There's the individuals that are right out of college or looking to break into the industry or transferring from a different industry to get into medical sales, and then there's also individuals that are in the industry and they're looking for the next steps that I work with. So the how I came about with RepPath, through the years. I mean, I've been in the industry about 23 years now. And throughout the years, you would get phone calls from family, friends, colleagues like, hey, I'm looking at this company, or hey, can I get your opinion? I'm looking to get into device, or I'm looking to get into diagnostics. And I would handle these calls for years. And I just enjoyed it so much because there's so much that, I didn't know. And I just, went into things blindly. And, sometimes it worked out, sometimes it didn't. But I always thought, I wish I had someone that was like a real mentor that can help me, just because it just saves you so much time, money, and effort,
right,
to do things that time is such a value. That's
absolutely
everything.
Yeah.
You don't want to waste it, just try to get feelers out when you can have someone that you can call and help guide you in the right direction. So I developed a passion more and more. And then after we sold our previous company a little over a year ago, that's when I really put full focus into just doing RepPath full time, and able to to just spend all the time with my clients now. So
that sounds so rewarding. What are some of the main challenges that your clients come to you with, and that you see just kind of across the board, both with both types of clients, either folks looking to break into medical sales or looking to further their medical sales path if they're already in the industry?
Well, the ones breaking in, the biggest challenge is sales experience. That's by far. I mean, I try to offer the alternatives of, like, either if you really want this, then you'll do whatever it takes to make it happen. So a lot of times individuals either don't want to get the sales experience and want to just keep trying and putting their resume out there, and they think that just by getting it out to more and more people, someone's going to hire you. And the reality is that's very rare. While it could happen, or you could know someone that owns a company and have a relationship through a friend that they give you a shot, but the most part, they get frustrated and quit, and then they stop their journey. So the ones that are willing to do that and spend a year at a business-to-business company, or even take a 1099 role where they can break into the industry quicker, but it's a very tough, those are tough opportunities to take because you have no backing of a base or a car or anything. So, but once they get that experience, it makes, it's like you said, once you're in, you're in.
Yeah.
It's easier, but that's the toughest for the entry level, is just, realizing you got to get that experience.
And that experience is also going to help equip them for once they get where they're going. This is something that I like to talk about a lot, which is, we've got our end goal. We really want to get there. But it's the path along, it's the path getting there that equips you once you get there. So if you put that year or two into B2B sales or 1099 role, you build yourself up, you learn, and then you're going to be more successful once you do land that role that you're ultimately looking to get to.
Well, I 100% agree. I mean, I actually had conversations a few last week about young individuals that I was speaking with, that they said, I'm so resilient, and I have such a strong work ethic. And they're telling me all these great words, these great adjectives that are,
Work ethic, resilience, right?
yeah,
Okay.
you're giving me all the little taglines that
The
sound
lingo.
great,
Yep.
but at the end of the day, show me. So
Right.
what's better than an individual that talks about their story and how they couldn't get into the industry, but they bit the bullet and took a 1099 role and were struggling to get into offices for a year, but they finally started to figure it out, but they wouldn't give up, or they took a business to business role for Cintas or whatever company, and their goal was to get into this industry, and they would do whatever it takes. So to me, and this is, for all hiring managers, seeing the individuals that actually did it as opposed to the ones that tell you that they can do it is a big
Right.
difference. So I think it plays well into your character and the story that you tell when you're in these interviews of what you did to get here.
Yeah. And it's going to build your confidence as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
And what about folks that are in the industry? And do you find that a lot of folks are kind of stuck looking to advance and having challenges at advancing? Or what's the biggest challenge with your clients that are already in the industry? What kind of problems do they come to you for help with?
I think the ones that want to advance in their career, they get stuck like job hopping. That I see that a lot where the grass is they always think the grass is greener on the other side. And every year or two you look at their resume and they've gone to 5 companies in the past 6 years, and you're like, eventually hiring managers are going to start to be, scared off by that. Now, granted, in this industry, there's a lot of layoffs that does happen. But when you're constantly looking to get ahead just by getting to another company, as opposed to, focusing on, really, developing your own skills to become a sales leader, at the company you're at, and doing the things that it takes to get to that next level and spending more time, as opposed to going, well, it's never going to work for me here, let me look elsewhere.
Yeah.
You get stuck in that rut where you just can't get ahead, as opposed to just being patient and really working, where you're at to build and grow with that company.
Right. And continuing to find ways to reinvent yourself if needed, think outside the box, because typically that first year you're working to, it's a ramp up and you're still learning. And then that second year, hopefully you're going to hit quota. And then if you leave after that, then you're not really demonstrating your ability to, for longevity in your sales career, because it's easy to stay motivated and excited for, 1 or 2 years. And there's always going to be, like you mentioned earlier, changes in the comp plan and maybe the territory. So do you find that the reps that do advance, they're the ones that are sticking it out and continuing to find ways to be successful within their organization? Or what are some key qualities that you see that help those folks that are advancing?
Well, I think the toughest challenge for all salesmen, I mean, it's in our hearts to be, we want things now. We want to close the deal now. We want to get this, get
Impatience is sometimes a virtue.
Exactly. I mean, it could be great. It could be great because sometimes that's how deals get done. And if you're not, you have to push things ahead, especially when you're working on long, purchase orders that you've been working on for a year. If you don't push the hospital system or whatever doctor's practice to move forward, things aren't going to happen. So it's difficult for sales reps at heart to have that, be patient, take a step back. I think the ones that do that and they view this as being in it for the long haul, are the ones that seem to have the most success. The ones that are saying, well, how come I'm not promoted? How come I'm not a district manager, or I didn't get promoted to a senior rep, in a couple of years? They're the ones that get stuck in that circle of, chasing it at other companies and never really getting ahead. So I think patience is a key thing. It's not easy, and I'm not always patient either.
Yeah.
But that's the characteristic that I think all the ones that move ahead share.
Yeah. I personally have never been a very patient person. I am becoming more patient. And one habit or kind of mindset shift that I find helps with impatience is to just remind myself that I'm learning. So even if I'm not yet where I want to be with each as long as I'm making progress and trying and having some either client interactions or whatever area in my career that I'm pushing for in that moment, as long as I'm making progress step by step, and even if it didn't go the way that I wanted it to, if I'm learning, then that's progress. So I think that can help to think of success as progress, not necessarily the end goal, but part of the process. And again, that's building you up so that you're equipped to be better prepared and have more to offer once you do get where it is you want to be.
Absolutely. And I think you really learn that, like, over the past few years of being on the entrepreneurial side, like if a year ago, the differences that I feel I made, with RepPath, I think are, for me are great. A year ago, I used to just get happy when someone wanted to get on a phone call with me,
Uh-huh.
and now it's totally
Yay,
different
phone
where,
call.
yeah, I know. But it's having that patient, and you have, like, I forced myself to, like, there is no turning back. Like, this is it. This is what I'm
Right.
doing. So there
Hmm.
were days that you go, what the heck am I doing?
Yeah,
Maybe I should take
absolutely.
a nice cushy corporate job again. And then you're just like, there's no way.
Yeah.
Once you see things start to progress, and now I know it's a long haul, it's going to take time. But from where I was a year ago to now, it's like, it's night and day. So I
That's
think
so
it's,
great. Good
yeah,
job.
yeah, it feels good. It
Yeah.
does feel good. So,
Oh, so there are a lot of coaches out there. So career coaches, success coaches, and your niche is very specific to medical sales. I'd love to hear a little bit about what makes the client experience unique in working with RepPath and in working with you.
well, I think I stand apart, from a lot of people in the industry that, I've done it. So I
Hmm.
don't ever try to coach or mentor anyone, and tell them things that I didn't do.
Yeah.
I'm very transparent, sometimes to a fault. I'm very honest, about things that I've done and things that I haven't done. But when I work with my clients, if there's things that I can't personally, help you out with, or I haven't been there myself and done it, then I
Hmm.
I won't even take you on as a client. I'll be
Yeah.
honest with you. But majority of the clients I work with, they fit that mold, so where I can guide them in my experiences. So I
Hmm.
think that's where I separate it. I compare it to like I don't want to be a travel agent where the travel agent can tell you all about, Italy or Greece, and meanwhile they've never been there themselves.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good
I
analogy.
Yeah, I look at it that if I haven't been there, then I'm not going to tell you about it.
Yeah.
So, once in a while, a candidate will come and give me an obscure situation. I'll be like, I got to be honest, I never experienced that, so I don't know how helpful I'm going to be. Um, but majority of the stuff I've done myself in my career, so I feel
Yeah.
comfortable speaking about it. And just my goal is just to help you minimize, the challenges and save you time, and not have to learn the hard way like I had to.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that's so great. You paved the way first, and that's what one of the things that you want to look for in a coach or a mentor, somebody that has already done it that can help you get there faster.
Yes, that's my goal. That's it. So, yeah, again, we talk about it. The older we get, you realize, when I was younger and older people would talk about time and how valuable it is, and you roll your eyes. But now the older you get, you realize, like, no, it is. So I
It
don't
goes
want,
by really, really quickly. So yeah, you want to be doing something impactful with it, and you want to be efficient, yeah, with your time and make sure you're not spinning your wheels in one direction that is not the right direction, and stay focused. Speaking of focus, I want to hear a little bit about your some of the success habits that you have in place, maybe that you do in your as part of your morning routine that can maybe inspire listeners.
yeah, I mean, I love to work out. So one of the things I'm actually moody, and like
You're
my
moody.
personality when I don't get a chance to work out.
Oh,
So
yeah, absolutely. It's unspent energy leads to angst or frustration. I always feel like so. Yeah, at the end of each day, I want to be mentally, physically exhausted. So I
I,
get that for sure.
so I start off every morning. I don't drink coffee anymore. I used to,
Oh,
and
wow. Oh, my
yeah,
goodness.
I
Okay.
stopped that a while ago, and I never thought I could not have a cup of coffee in the morning. And
Yeah.
I was like, I would drink, caffeinated, black, like have a big thermos. like, and I needed it every morning. Now I wake up and I go for a run every morning, excuse me, and then do, a workout where we have, there's a lot of like these little jungle gyms, like pull-up bars and then dip sets and all that stuff on the beach. So I
Nice.
run that, and then I do my little routine over there. And then when I come home, I'm like already energized to start my day. Like we talked about, I hate wasting time. So I always, go from there, then come home, shower, get right on the computer, check my emails, check my plan for the day of what I have scheduled. And just getting in that routine every day, where starting out after I enter in all my contacts and I have time in between, I start reaching out to my clients and my candidates for different roles. And just I'm in a daily routine where I'm doing that, where it's kind of, I used to hate routines, I like to be spontaneous.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm realizing now, that it's so important, the more and more that you have the set routine that you get into. So, I mean,
because then you can be more efficient because you don't have to figure out what it is you're going to do. If you wake up not knowing, okay, what's my plan for the day? You're already like an hour behind because one, you got to figure out what you want to do. And then you have to get focused. I mean, it takes time to build up the momentum where we're really focused and immersed in whatever activity. So there's a lot of motivational speakers out there that talk about this. I listen to a lot of YouTube motivational videos. I know you do too, but they'll talk about figure out what you're going to focus on the night before so that you wake up and you're ready to go. So yeah, that's great. So you're waking up, you're getting your body feeling good, which is going to clear your mind and help you to be focused. And then you've got your routine.
And to back up on that, you're actually starting your days the night before, because these are things that I just do now out of just routine that I don't even realize I'm doing it. I mean, I think that's when you're in a good place, when you don't think about it anymore. You're like a robot. So at night when you're checking your computer, I'm checking my calendar, seeing what I have before I go to bed. It helps me sleep better.
Yeah.
To have everything down on paper and on my, on my phone or on my computer, so I don't have to think about it.
And you wake up and that you're going to be ready to go.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually was listening to a podcast and I thought it was awesome the way this guy presented it. He said, everyone here loves grandma's cooking. We all have our grandmothers, or we had our grandmothers that, it was so good. Grandma's cooking was so good. He goes, Sunday dinners, grandma made the best Sunday dinners. He goes, why did grandma's Sunday dinners come out so good? He goes, because she started making it on Saturday.
Oh, wow. That's cool. I love that. Yeah, that's great. Okay.
But I even see with my mother, like whenever we have a big family dinner over, my mom's cooking 2 days before, getting everything prepared. Then Sunday comes and it's like she just whipped it up. But it's effort and passion that you put into it, ahead of time to make the product, come out great.
Yeah, time, effort, preparation, practice, repetition. Yep. And then the more you have your routine, then it just becomes more natural, and then you're more focused with each step of the process that you're working on and toward. What is one piece of advice that you would give to? We probably covered it at multiple points of advice, but anything that you'd want to share with folks out there looking to break into medical sales?
Yeah, I think it comes back to getting that experience and speaking to individuals. And this is not to self promote, me or RepPath services, but really speak to people in the industry and know what you're getting yourself into. Really have a real understanding. And this is any career. It doesn't have to do with medical sales. You really want to know what you're getting yourself into and do your homework. Because some things are great for some people and some it's just not for them. So
do your homework, speaking with folks that are already in the job that you're aspiring to be in, to learn a better understanding of day in the life if it is ultimately what you want.
Absolutely. You need the good and the bad. So you don't want to just hear, or you see them driving a nice car and, they have a flexible schedule. They
have an expense account and all of that. Are you going to like it? Because if not, regardless of how much money you make, you're not going to want to stick around.
Right.
So
and
I think
you're
that's
also
great.
dealing with, the negatives sometimes, where if you don't hit your number, the stress that it puts on you, and you're constantly as good as your last sale. I mean,
highly
those are challenges
stressful.
that you want to just know. So
yeah. Yeah, I think that's great. And in the interview process, I always encourage managers, if they don't have, in my recruiting role, if you don't already have this step as part of the interview process, to have candidates connect with folks on your team so that they can learn about day in the life and better assess if it is actually what they want. That can save you a lot of time. We were talking about time before. So, all right. Well, it has been great having you and learning about your background and how you're helping folks, and a little bit about your client challenges. If somebody wants to get in touch with you, actually, I'm going to pop up your website here. What's the best way to reach out to you and get in touch if somebody wants to learn about working with you or ask you a question or learn about RepPath?
Yeah, I mean, the easiest way is to sign up on my website, www.reppath.com, or they can reach out to me directly in my email, which is joe@reppath.com. And then just, text me, or excuse me, message me any challenges you're having, what you're looking to accomplish, and then we could set up a time to chat. It's just that simple.
Okay, great. And I'll link your email in the podcast description too. And you have a podcast as well yourself where folks can join on LinkedIn and ask you questions. And how can we listen to your podcast?
Absolutely. Yeah. So we do them on Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, pretty much almost every Wednesday. So it's just easily, you just go on, you'll see how I post. If I don't invite you personally, you could just go on my LinkedIn account and then just see the upcoming event that we have.
Pop that up there too. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, you can just go on there and then you'll see the upcoming whatever topic that I'm going to discuss that week. And typically they're anywhere from a half hour to an hour. But I spend the first part of the podcast going over whatever topic, and then we always set time for a Q&A afterwards to pick on when people want to ask their own personal questions.
I love that. I think that's great. Okay, very good. Well, thank you so much, Joe, for coming on the show. Great talking with you. Really appreciate you taking time to be here, and you've got a lot of value to offer. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Amy. It was a pleasure.
Absolutely. And definitely check out Joe's podcast. If you have a question for him, reach out. Obviously, he's a super nice guy, easy to talk to, and very passionate about helping others. So definitely check him out. And if you are either a hiring manager or a candidate and you're looking for some tips on the interview process and some motivational tips as well, I invite you to check out my book, Ready, Set, Recruit, The Hiring Manager's Guide to Recruiting with Confidence. There's tips in there for candidates too. So we will see you next time. And until then, stay curious. Thank you.